Marketing qualified's got what you need. From strategy tips to make your business lead. Insights, trends, and a whole lot more.
This is what happens when you go live, people.
Sales tour. Whether you're small or reaching for the big, our newsletter's the secret to
What happened
making
over
it
this is
big.
audio.
This one was
This
a
is
lot
good.
higher.
Fall behind with marketing qualified, success is aligned.
Okay. It's Friday.
It's Friday, and anything can happen on a Friday. Welcome back to the Marketing Qualified Rundown, where everything can happen, like falling down green screens is a real thing. Hope you enjoyed our little jingle that we were playing, a little audio jingle about Marketing Qualified. Miss Swedish Fish, are you okay? We good?
Yeah, that just really threw me off, and it's not quite perfect now. But yes, that's part of the live.
You guys know that this was fully live and not pre-recorded, or else we would have edited that out. So
I really hope people did pay attention to the song, though, because the song is fantastic.
Yeah, song's fun. We'll post it afterwards. But we've got two great topics today. Two, not four. We're going to talk about the opportunity of audio, which is why we started with a little jingle. And we're going to talk about the social is the new search, which is interesting. We'll talk a little bit about the generational difference, too, of who this is geared towards. So, yeah, it's not me. All right, so let's talk about the opportunity in audio. What the heck is, like, how do we define audio?
What we just did right now, we played a song. That's audio. But audio is anything, think podcast, radio, like anything that you listen to would be considered a media audio consumption.
Right. And a lot of things, I think, so much now is both video and audio, right? So you can, if you don't want to watch it, you can still listen to it, whether it be on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. But I thought the really interesting statistic was that 31% of media consumption is through audio. That's a lot.
Yes, this is obviously an extreme, like, untapped opportunity or potential for people. Looking at these numbers here, I was kind of shocked. I had no idea it was this much.
Yeah, I mean, I listened to a lot of podcasts, but then it dawned on me as you listen to some of this stuff, how much advertising is obviously in some of these platforms, whether it be Spotify, Pandora, SoundCloud, all these places. So I think that the point of this is why marketers, especially B2B, should take this more seriously is it's just a less crowded space, right?
Yeah. And you get full attention, right? Like when you have your ad on, if you do like a search ad on Google, or if it's on LinkedIn, your ad is seldom, it's not alone. There's a lot more noise around it. Audio is just your one ad. If you get the listener to actually listen through, I'm good at skipping ahead, but there are many times I do listen, and I've actually discovered a lot of things just from ads on, especially podcasts.
Yeah, and I think there is, radio obviously has been around a really long time, and I think that there is an inherent trust, a higher trust factor when you hear something and listen to it on the radio versus if you're naturally maybe more cynical if you look at it on social media and you see you're doom scrolling and it's like maybe that's true, maybe it's not, or maybe I'm just going to zip past it. So I think if it is something that is a trusted source, then you're going to get much more positive sentiment towards that advertisement than maybe you would on social media. So again, higher trust. And I think the other big piece is time, right? Like we joke around ourselves about liking to walk and talk, but you can walk and listen to things. You're trying to look at a phone and watch a video, you're going to run into the car.
Yeah, there are many, and the walk and talk, anything like at home when I'm cooking or cleaning or doing laundry, I very often pop my AirPods in and listen to a podcast or whatever audiobook I have going on at the moment. So there's so many untapped time compared to the scroll, like the death scroll that we all get stuck into.
Yeah. So maybe I do want to dive in a little bit just about the how, because I think it's important. I think most people would probably pretty easily agree that this is a good opportunity to use audio. But really, if you think about it, we played the little jingle in the beginning, but how do you do that? One, you need to come up with a really concise, quick, engaging script. right? And so there's lots of ways to do that. You can use ChatGPT, you can use Claude, you can write it yourself if you are a jingle writer or a songwriter, but you don't have to, right? There's a lot of tools out there that allow you to do that very quickly and to be able to actually generate the voiceover and generate the song without you having to go, in the old days, I mean, it would be thousands and thousands of dollars to go hire somebody to come into studio, do all that. We did that jingle. We literally did that jingle in 30 seconds. So from script writing to producing it was maybe 35 seconds.
And what tool are you using for it?
So I use Suno, which is a song. Well, I use ChatGPT to write the lyrics, and I use Suno to actually create the song. And you can create whether you want it to be a jingle, a rap, country, whatever you want, and then you can export that as an MP3, WAV, video file, whatever you want. So I think it's important on the how is like you can create an ad very simply. From a platform perspective, you can pick Spotify, Pandora, SoundCloud. Obviously, you can have audio on YouTube too, but it's important to figure out what the requirements are on these platforms, and because an ad on an audio platform is different than an ad on Facebook, Instagram, etc.
Yeah, so there are basically two things that we're talking about here. So when it comes to audio, so you can actually create audio marketing materials, which is also untapped opportunity, but then you can also advertise on audio platforms. Both of them,
two different things.
Yeah, two different things, but two very with high potential of ROI, I think, compared to traditional marketing.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen even lately, like just listening to a webinar sometimes, I don't have to watch it, but I do listen to it because I can walk around and listen to it versus having to do that.
Yes, let's talk about that, some ideas on how, like, I mean, we talked about the song and you can throw ads on platforms like Spotify, but ways that you can implement this, especially in the B2B world, I was thinking immediately to like case studies or any sort of like, use cases that you have, you can turn those into audio versions so people can actually listen to them. If you do a newsletter like we do with Marketing Qualified, you can also throw on an audio version of that. So if you don't do a LinkedIn Live and kind of summarizes the key points, you can just add that audio. And these platforms like Beehive, they're just doing it for you. You literally just turn it on or off. You don't have to sit there and record your own voice, which I'm sure most people would be uncomfortable with.
Yeah, so those are easy, quick hits, and you should do it even if you're hitting, 10% of the people that want to listen versus 90% that want to read. I mean, you're just adding more value to it. So, I mean, if I can listen to a case study about what's happening as I'm walking or I'm driving, that's a much faster, or it's a much better way to at least do that than having to read it if I don't have time. So, yeah, lots of opportunities.
For that, part of our case study package, we should include that. Like, do you want this?
Narrated by Miss Swedish Fish.
It'd be terrible. I'm not good at reading out loud.
All right, so that is audio, or opportunity and audio. What else we got on the plate today?
So the social media search, which we had a brief discussion about here early on before we got live, where Nick is telling me, like, I don't really get this because I don't really use social. And I had to ask, what year are you born?
Yeah, so I'm Gen X, and Miss Swedish Fish is not.
No, I'm but I think it doesn't differ that much, but I do think that I've leaned into it more than you have, and I can imagine that younger generations leaned into. So these numbers make sense to me, that there's an increase in the social search over a Google, like a search engine search. And when I think about myself, I actually do it. I don't have I'm not on a LinkedIn kind of search yet, but maybe that will come later. But I definitely use other social platforms to search for inspiration and ideas and like any sort of topics of interest.
Yeah, I mean, I do think this is I think, on the B2B side, I think we maybe are doing this inherently anyway, just that if you're trying to put information out there that answers your prospects or your clients' questions, that is a good thing for LinkedIn. I mean, at least on LinkedIn. I think you made a comment before we went live about Reddit. And I think Reddit's also a great example of social media search, where I know a lot of people, especially in the B2B tech space, that use Reddit to go look and search for information, then they're going to go there way above going to Google, because Google, they don't want all the advertisements. But the reality is Reddit also has a lot of advertisements and a lot of opportunity for companies to try to reach those audiences that are trying to do search over there.
And any sort of, it might be a bold claim, but any sort of like user generated content like Reddit, I would trust way more any day than just like random articles on Google that happen to be like on page 1.
Yeah, because I'm sure they're sponsored for,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, it's an interesting trend. I think as the workforce shifts, and as the depending on who your ideal customer profile is, I think this is just something to consider, especially in the B2B space, as things go, where you spend your marketing dollars and where you spend putting content out across the board. So don't believe the Google has a lock on it all by themselves.
So I think I want to say that too, that if you want to lean into this trend that social search is kind of beaten search engines, you kind of want to start reverse engineer, like figure out first what people are searching for. And there are plenty tools for that.
For
Do
sure.
you know off the top of your head? So I'm not
I
just
use, well, there's a lot of tools you can pay for. Obviously SEMrush, but one of the tools that I use a lot is the Google Trends, which is free.
Yeah.
So Google Trends is a fascinating, if you guys don't use it, it's a fascinating site to go to and just look at what yes, it's Google. So we're, I guess, talking out both sides of our mouth, but Google, it does at least reflect what people are searching for and in there, so you can at least have an idea. And the other way is ask people, ask your clients. So.
Ask people, ask your clients, answer questions or answer to problems, give solutions. So that's where you start. When you know that, that's when you go create that content, and you obviously throw it up on social platforms. Don't just throw it up there. Make sure that you actually optimize that too. Like have a descriptive title and just an actual description of whatever it is that you're sharing.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. All right. Well, is that all we got today?
That is all we got. Oh, your favorite part of the day. There we go.
It makes me hungry is what it made me. So our meme of the day, this is, I did appreciate this because
I told you to Google it. Oh yeah, I don't like that when people tell me that. I typically realize that the second I ask for something like, hey, do you X? And it's like, but just freaking Google it. Like just
Google that shit, as they say.
Should be a little bit more resourceful, guys.
Yeah.
All the answers are mostly out there. Get creative. Ask for it. That's it.
That's it. All right. Well, wishing everybody a happy Labor Day weekend. And if they want to read this, where do they go?
You go to marketingqualified.co, subscribe. You get this newsletter in your inbox every week. And if you don't want to read, you can listen to us. We'll talk about all the things that you need to know from it.
All right. Until next time.
Happy Friday.
See you.